Now I want to talk about how to use the Goodhertz Tone Control 3 plugin to quickly mix some synthesizer patches. It's a different style of EQ than the tilt shift EQ, but it's another quick way of mixing sounds and can be especially helpful whenever you're working on your records. So before everything sounds like this, do have a simple like lo-fi hip-hop beat, and then after, that synthesizer patch is going to be much more bright and sit better on top of the drums, and there won't be as much low frequencies fighting. Let me go ahead and remove the tone control, and we'll go ahead and start working on our patch. So what this is a Baxandall EQ. A Baxandall EQ is commonly used in mastering applications, so whenever you're finalizing records, and basically it has a low boost, which we can see here, and it has a high boost. The combination of both of these shelving curves gives you this really nice tonal shaping for records, and especially in mastering can be super helpful because you can take the sub bass and really dial that in and add just a little bit more low end thump to a whole record. Then you can go to the high frequencies and add a nice brightness to everything. It kind of gives you this more crispy top end. I go ahead and double click on those to reset them to their default states. But basically that's what's happening. There's a nice bass boost and then also a treble boost. There's also some nice low cut and high cut features also put into this device as well, which is what makes it really great for quickly mixing synthesizer patches. So let's go ahead and start off on our sound here. Let's go ahead and listen to that synth soloed. Now I'm noticing a couple of things. One, it's awfully dark sounding, and especially because these drums already have kind of that filtered lo-fi sound to them, I'm going to go ahead and add some nice top end. So I'm going to go to my high shelf. I'm going to boost that up. I'm going to boost that up all the way for now, and then we can adjust the amount once we get everything set up. I'm going to go to the frequency curve, and I'm push that over to the left so that we're boosting more of those high frequencies. And then I'll adjust that to taste. So before, after. So it really opens up that sound, it adds this nice brightness to it, and it gives you much more airy and light sound on that synth patch. And even with that one adjustment, now it's going to sit a lot better on top of my drums. The next thing that we'll do is go ahead and boost some of the lows. We can use this to add a little bit of general fullness to the mid-range and low frequencies. So if we go ahead and set this frequency value up, let's go ahead and put it all the way over here and we'll adjust it here in a second. But I'm going to go ahead and just crank this control. You can hear right now it's adding in a ton of mid-range frequencies. Maybe add just a little bit less of that so we don't get any clipping as we're working on this. Maybe everything slightly below 400, so like 417 or 317. So really adding in a lot of lows. We can kind of use that to thicken up my synth part. Now I don't want to add quite that much in because I'm not trying to make this muddy. But just a couple of dB of that just makes that whole sound a lot more rounded and a lot more full. So before, it sounded like this. After. So even with those two very simple shelving EQ boosts, we can get a really nice tone going for my synth. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just cut out a little bit of that low end frequency information because I don't want any sub bass inside of the synthesizer patch to conflict with my drums. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and turn that solo off. I'll loop that whole section. Let me go back to the beginning by double clicking on the stop inside of Ableton. Then I'm going to turn on that low cut, and then we can go ahead and adjust that frequency cutoff point, which you can see on this graphic here. And we can adjust that until we get kind of a nice blended sound between those two different elements. So that way there's no sub bass fighting the main drums. Especially on that kind of first chord hit. Kind of just cleans it up and helps it sit on top. Let's maybe put that at like 71. So I think I like that at about 80. You can also adjust that depending on the source material that you're working with. You can also change the slope, and there's also a high pass cut as well. So if you're finding there's a lot of high frequencies and you want to attenuate some of those quickly, you could do so on this device, which is super nice. So I'll do this air circuit as well. If I go and just crank this, just adds a little bit of top end. There's not a ton of high frequency information inside the synth patch, so this doesn't do as much, but depending on the source material that you're feeding into this device, this can kind of brighten everything up a lot, especially if you're using this like on a master. Just a little bit of that, kind of open up that synth a little bit. So before, it sounded like this. And after, it sounded like this. So that's just a quick way of using the singular EQ plugin to mix a synthesizer patch inside of a record. You can use this on drums, vocals, or even on a master and get all sorts of really nice results depending on the type of material you're working with. So thanks for checking out this video. I'll see you in the next one.